Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. You are looking at a history maker, and if you are a Seiko, King Seiko, Grand Seiko, or Crador fan and collector, this is an essential piece for your collection. The first Spring Drive model, launched in 1999. You're looking at the SBWA001, made in 500 pieces in steel. This is number 360. It is a foundational piece for Seiko as a company, but also for Spring Drive as a technology. And to find one of these in outstanding collection, fully functional, adjusted, ready to wear without care, box and paper set intact. This is like finding hen's teeth on a rooster. And that is exactly what you've got right here. A surefire collectible and a watch of interest to anyone who is a Seiko fan. Taking a look, 38 millimeters in diameter. It fits more or less the size scheme of the late 1990s, when 38 was considered a fairly large watch. In steel, 10.2 millimeters thick. Now, if you just measure this little outboard link on each side, the distance is 44 millimeters across, but if you measure the edge of the first link on either side to its opposite number, then the total distance across the wrist is 53.1. And note this highly proprietary integrated screw-fixed junction, a unique design that is pretty much specific to this model. This is the kind of thing that did not proliferate broadly across Seiko and Grand Seiko watches. It was designed to make the watch different, distinctive, and memorable, as it was the launch platform for basically a technology in the works since 1977. And it was not until 1999, after much trial, error, prototypes, and patents, that you could actually buy a functional Spring Drive watch. So taking a look at the watch on my wrist, you could see it actually looks bigger than it is because of the integration of the bracelet. And there's sort of an ergo fit to the way the bracelet curves around the wrist. I think this could be worn just fine on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference. You can see the case proper is not broad at all. And the watch is quite thin, both slender and with a sloped flank. It will slide easily underneath a dress cuff. Keep in mind, this is a Seiko watch, not a Grand Seiko watch. I know some people might get a little bit confused because on this channel we don't feature a whole lot of Seiko Spring Drive, but that's exactly what this is. We usually have a lot of Grand Seikos. Just keep in mind, this is the core brand. The bracelet is a unique design, and unlike a lot of Seiko bracelets, which look really great but tend to feel their price, this feels cost no object, as Seiko really didn't pull any of its punches to make this watch both a qualitative and design statement to match the engineering inside. So this bracelet is very robust. Its side-to-side play is minimal. The tolerances between the links quite tight, even to this day. And you can see that we have many removable links on both sides. They are held by pins, so you're going to need a block and punch if you want to size this at home, but you do have many removable links to make sure you get the right size. Double trigger, you can see it's a twin-fold clasp, and when it is closed, we have a seamless integration. Everything about this watch feels very organic. Twin trigger release, so it cannot pop open inadvertently. It's got a little bit of a 70s vibe in that the case is almost a cross between a round case and a tonneau, and it features this lapping machine satination that covers every surface with the exception of a few polished highlights like the crown, the fixing hardware for the bracelet, and then the angular bezel itself. We have a vaulted crystal over a black lacquer dial. I'm going to polish this up so you have no trouble seeing it. We're going to do a quick loom shot so you can get a sense of how this watch looks in the dark. And then the dial features a dial side power reserve, which across many models and brands would come to be a signature of Spring Drive. You can see that the features of the dial are more evocative of Grand Seiko than Seiko, as there are elements that are polished, satinated, beveled, and faceted. Not necessarily something you expect in the Seiko catalog. Definitely Grand Seiko, but this is a Grand Seiko without being a Grand Seiko. You can also see that there are little polished cabochon minute and seconds hashes or indices outboard, and you have, for the first time in history, that distinctive smooth glide of Spring Drive. No start, no stop, no tick, no tock. It's not even a high rate escapement that looks like a sweep. It is a true sweep. It is a manual wind watch. I'm going to wind it up so you can see the power reserve traversing. This initial variant of manual drive, manual wind, manually wound spring drive, 48-hour power reserve, and it was right out of the gate extremely accurate, plus or minus 15 seconds a month, which is spot on for quartz. But remember, this is a mechanical quartz hybrid, and a COSC mechanical Swiss chronometer is -4 plus 6 seconds per 24 hours. Now, right out of the gate, it also had a couple of convenient features, including a stop seconds function, so you could synchronize it to a reference time, but also a quick set system, so you can rapidly cycle the date if you wish to do so. Turning it over, you could see that it was calculated to make an impression. It's a good-looking movement, not artisanal, but very attractive. Surprisingly, too, you can see the watch water-resistant, 30 meters. Don't swim with it, just keep that in mind. And then you can see made in Japan. So if you are a fan of all things Japanese, or even just Japanese watchmaking, this is an essential addition to your collection. So the original 7R68, the very first spring drive, you can see manual wind. It's got a polished barrel cover. Then we have a sort of stripe Côte de Genève, or we'll call them stripes since we're not in Switzerland. And then polished screw heads, 30 jewels, and the unidirectional governing wheel, which is the defining piece of the spring drive puzzle. The way this works is the spring drives the wheel. The wheel is geared directly to the hands. There's no battery, there's no motor, and there are no capacitors, certainly in an energy supplying capacity. All the motive power comes from the spring. But as this wheel turns, it creates an induced electromagnetic current, or an induced electric current, by moving through a magnetic field. So the electromagnetic interaction of the wheel creates that current that wakes up the quartz oscillator. The quartz oscillator, in turn, applies a back EMF, or an opposing electromagnetic force, that slows the wheel. And so that quartz oscillator varies the amount of electromagnetic braking to ensure that the watch keeps time accurately. So it is the governing mechanism of spring drive. No motors, no batteries, no capacitors powering the system. It is just a brilliant feat of pure intellect made real. It is an engineer's dream come true. Yoshikazu Akahane, who originally envisioned the system, did not quite live to see spring drive reach the market, but he knew before he died that it was going to make production, and this is the embodiment of his dream. There are many of these out there that are not running, that are not complete, that are in sour condition. This one, in perfect condition, beautifully adjusted and operational, again, is that essential addition to your Seiko family collection. So reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.